There are certain agricultural laws, permits, and regulations that farmers must follow in California, in addition to the federal laws. Occasionally, inspectors may come out to your farm and check if you are following the law. You will need to keep records that provide evidence that you are following the law. Pesticide laws are designed to regulate the use of pesticides for human and environmental health. A pesticide is any kind of chemical including weed killers, bug killers, fumigants, and others that are used to control pests, but it can also be harmful to human beings and the environment.
Before anything is applied to an agricultural crop that's going to be sold to the general public, you need to obtain either an operator identification number or a pesticide permit. The operator ID number is for the non-restricted materials that are normally chemicals that are safer either to the environment or to the honeybees, surrounding crops, groundwater. Restricted materials are ones that are usually more toxic. They can cause problems to the surrounding crops, the groundwater, your neighbors, so we watch them a lot closer, and that's why you need a restricted materials permit. Before you apply a non-restricted material, and these are chemicals such as malathion, Roundup, materials you can buy at Lowe's or Home Depot, at nursery, hardware store, you still need to obtain an operator ID number from County Agriculture Commissioner in the county where your farm is located. If you want to apply a restricted material, you need to obtain a pesticide permit from the County Agriculture Commissioner in the county where your farm is located. But before you can get a permit, you need to pass a written test, and then you become a certified private applicator and you get this card. And this card is good for like 3 years. In order to renew the card, you can either take the test again or you can go to approved meetings that give you continuing education hours. Once you get your card, you have to obtain the pesticide permit. And on the permit, the different materials, the restricted materials, are going to be listed. And the permit and the ID number both expire every year in December. So you have to get these renewed every year before you apply any kind of pesticide. Even though you can buy a lot of the non-restricted materials from your local home improvement, Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, nurseries, it is legal for you to buy them in such places. If you're putting it on strawberries, one of the main things is you have to make sure that it is labeled for strawberries. Once you've gotten your restricted materials permit, you need to go to an agricultural chemical dealer. That's the only place where you should really be buying your materials. If somebody comes to your farm and they're selling you something, it could be adulterated or altered. It might be stolen. It might be mislabeled. Your crop could be killed. You could have a residue on the crop that you could make your customers sick. And if that happens and the county ag office comes out, we take a sample and we find this unregistered material on your crop, the only alternative would be to have you disc under the crop, which you'd be losing your crop for the whole season. So you could also get sick yourself while you're applying the material. So that's where it's very important that you only deal with the licensed pest control dealers. If you're using a restricted material, now you've purchased it from your dealer, you have to call us. Call the Agriculture Commissioner's office 24 hours ahead of time before you apply the material. And once again, this is because we're watching them a little bit more closely. Say it's something that will kill honeybees. Maybe you're going to use Liquid 7. If your crop is blooming or if there are weeds in the area, we want to make sure that we're protecting the honeybees. So, I would tell you, you have to put it on early in the morning before the sun comes up or in the evening after the sun goes down in order to protect those honeybees. Or if there's, say, a house or a school nearby, we might say, well, you can only apply this chemical on the weekends when there's nobody around. Or we could say that apply it only with the wind from a certain direction to protect a certain area. When you're getting ready to buy your materials, you're going to make sure that you have a copy of your permit or ID number. And if you're buying restricted materials, take your card with you. We usually mark them, that you are a certified applicator on your restricted materials permit, but some of the dealers will want to have see your card also. They will either make a copy of your ID number or permit, or usually you'll get a couple of copies, but always keep a copy for yourself. After you've applied a chemical, either restricted or non-restricted, it's the law to fill out what's called a pesticide use report. And you fill this out for 100% of the pesticides that you're using on your farm. That's the weed killers or even snail bait. Anything that you're using that has an EPA registration number on the label needs to be reported monthly. And this is the form that you're using. You get all this information on this form off of your pesticide permit or ID number, except for the actual chemical name, which is going to be on your label, and the EPA number, which is also going to be on the label. On this form, you're going to say, okay, I finished this application on the 2nd of May at 6 o'clock in the morning. I used it on 3 acres, and the total amount of material that you used on that application. You turn these in monthly for each month that you're using pesticides, and they're supposed to be into the Agricultural Commissioner's office by the 10th of the following month. You keep a copy for yourself along with your ID number or your restricted materials permit, and make sure that you keep these for 2 years.
Burning of most agricultural waste is illegal. It pollutes the air and can cause health problems. You should disc residue back into your soil. There are certain exceptions, and you can check with your local air pollution board for more information. You can also chip and send to a cogeneration plant. Don't burn pesticide containers, but deliver them to your nearest hazardous waste management station. There are many laws that are designed to protect workers and are enforced by the Division of Labor Standards Enforcement of the Department of Industrial Relations. These are some of the basic laws to follow. Workers' compensation insurance. You are required to carry workers' compensation insurance for anyone who works on your farm, whether they are family members, your wife, or hired labor. Only those legally listed as owners are exempt from this insurance requirement. It costs approximately $450 per year for the average small farm. Insurance is available from such places as State Fund and Zenith Insurance Company. Farmers can be fined $1,500 per person in the field if there is no proof of insurance. It is okay to pay by piecework, such as paying someone per box harvested, but the pay must be at least as much as the minimum wage, which currently is $8 per hour. Minimum wage requirement. If you hire any workers or pay anyone cash for helping on your farm, you need to pay them minimum wage, take out deductions, and keep records of payrolls, timesheets, tax, SSI, and all other deductions. Child labor. Only children of farm owners or operators may be employed by their parents at any time. However, all other children younger than 16 years old must have a consent letter written by the parent and have their parents working with them outside of school hours. Labor contractor. If you use a labor contractor, you don't have to worry about workers' comp, toilets, etc. It relieves the farmer of those safety regulations. However, you should ensure that the contractor has a current and valid contractor's license with the state. A quick check can be done on the computer at the following website. Cal-OSHA is another division of the California Department of Industrial Relations that makes inspections and provides consultation on a safe and healthy work environment to employers. It is important that you have all the required plans in place and document your actions in order to avoid big fines. Contact your local OSHA office to participate in one of their consultation training programs. All employers or farm operators are required to provide cool drinking water in a clean container with disposable cups, 1 quart per person per hour. Provide clean, potable hand-washing water, soap, and single-use towels. Provide toilets, 1 male and 1 female, for if there are 5 or more mixed-sex workers. Example, if there are 15 workers, male and female, there must be 2 toilets. For fewer than 5 workers, only 1 lockable toilet is required. Toilets must be serviced regularly and be located within a quarter mile or no more than 5 minutes walk from the worksite. Have an injury and illness prevention plan, or IIPP, that outlines who is in charge, what hazards are on your farm, and document any accident or injury that takes place. Provide training to workers in safe handling of chemicals and what to do if exposed. Contact Cal OSHA or State Compensation Insurance Fund for a sample IIPP model. Have a first aid kit with supplies available at all times on the farm. Have a heat illness prevention program in place. You must have a training program for your workers teaching about the dangers and prevention of heat illness. Have an emergency action plan, what to do if someone is injured. You must have all the required state and federal posters at the farm site. There are at least 16 required posters. State posters are available at the following website. Wash water container. A sign is required that says wash only, not for drinking, and the container must have a lid covering the water. Specific fines vary for different infractions of these laws. There are no warnings given, no translators are provided in the inspections or sweeps. Appeals can be made but are very time-consuming and complicated. For example, you can be fined for having a toilet with no toilet paper, if you do not have a written IIPP or heat illness training program, if you do not have a lid on a hand washing tank, or don't have shade or potable drinking water available. No hand washing facilities and not having enough toilets for workers can also result in a fine. In addition, if you do not have a first aid kit available or have unclean drinking water or do not have single-use cups, can all result in a fine.
บัวกันโซบัวกันยันอมิงอันที่ตอนอย่ามาต้องหายเต่าอมิงเที่ยวที่ตอนอย่ามาต้องหายเต่า